I make the mistake of getting into the Tahoe with this guy. I'm in the back of this guy's car. It's just me and Sam. The gate closed behind us. We are stuck on this ranch, pretty much in this guy's custody. He wasn't making it seem that way. He was being eccentric and exciting and talking about what just happened to us as if it was some biblical level event that we should be happy. We should feel blessed that it happened to us. He's just talking about this place like it is just some sacred grounds. And he's just giving us the weirdest vibes. But he's like, hey, the place that we're going to, all you guys have to do is give us a quick testimony. It's up on the right up here. We're just driving straight down this road from the gate and we see a building coming up to our right. So we're like, okay, we're pulling up. When we pull up, it's a pretty nice building. So I'm like, okay, things are feeling a little bit better. Even though this guy's a little bit weird, his friends aren't really talking. We pull up to this building and through the windows, I'm like, okay, there's other people in there. There seems to be like a couple dozen people in there working. We pop out of the car. He walks us into the front door. This is a legitimate lab. This isn't just a building. This isn't just like a bunch of guys here doing nothing. Everybody's in lab coats. They kind of have their own sections where they seem like they're doing some type of experiments and testing. The scientists are completely ignoring us. And I know like scientists aren't in customer service, so I'm not holding it against them, but it was a bit odd that nobody at this place was speaking to us, even though we're complete newcomers, strangers. You would think that people don't visit there often. They might be curious of why we're there, but these people are heads down, completely ignoring us, looking through their microscopes, doing scans, doing like twisty things, just doing science, it seemed. The guy that brought us in, that seemed as if he ran the show there, like it seemed like he was the boss. He's just kind of showing us around. Everybody's completely ignoring us until we meet this one other guy. He brings us to this other room, and as impressive as the lab was, the second room was significantly more impressive. The second room was like a surveillance room, and there was an entire wall. There had to be like 10 monitors on this wall with 30 different camera angles of the entire ranch. They were keeping tabs on this entire ranch. There was not a piece of this ranch that didn't have a camera angle pointed towards it. That's how thorough this was. So we're standing in the surveillance room. This is pretty legit. And the second guy he introduces us to is the only other really friendly guy that we met there. Everybody else was just quiet, kind of dull, completely ignoring us. The other two guys that were with us just kind of faded into the lab work. So now we're just with this guy who seems like the boss and this guy that introduces himself as Tim. Tim is just really eccentric and really nice, but he just starts talking to the dude that brought us. Me and Sam are just sitting there just so awkward watching these two grown men interact in a very bizarre way. He starts debriefing this dude about what just happened to us, and again, he's just so over the top. He's just telling this dude in this crazy way, and this dude is just eating it up. And I'm sitting there watching these grown men talk about it, and I realize what's happening because they're kind of piling on to what happened with each other. Like he says one thing and the guy's like, yeah, it was probably this. And then he says another thing and he's like, oh, that correlates to this thing that happened last week. And they're almost working each other up. And at that point, I kind of see what this is. They're talking about this place like it is a sacred ground. They are fully bought into what is going on here, and it's starting to feel a bit cultish. They are talking about absolutely out there ideas based on what just happened to us, and they're correlating things that aren't super connected. It just seems like they're really reaching. And we're looking at these dudes like, these dudes are a bit odd, but they're really friendly. We kind of break into the conversation because we were standing there for 3 minutes as they're just blabbermouthing each other. The dude introduces us to Tim, and we're like, okay, hey Tim, nice to meet you. Can we get this testimony out of the way so we can poke around? We only have a few hours here before we have to leave. But then the dude that brought us in is like, actually, I have a meeting right now in the room that you would have to do the testimony in. So you're gonna have to do the testimony a bit later, but don't worry, Tim here will give you a tour of the ranch. And right there, me and Sam are like, we didn't come in here for this dude to give us a tour. You're kind of twisting it up on us. We thought we were gonna be able to do a testimony and poke around ourselves, but now it seems as if we're gonna have a chaperone. But we're in so deep at this point, we're just kind of pressured by the situation, and we're like, okay, I guess we're going with Tim. The dude that brought us in just immediately beelines to the testimony room, I guess, and he leaves. So now we're just stuck with weird Tim, and Tim calls to Junior in the other room. And me and Sam are like, okay, so now not only are we not going by ourselves, we're going with this dude that we don't know who has already shown us that he's a little bit odd, and he is calling Junior into the room, who happened to be a 10-year-old kid and I guess is his son. And we're like, okay, I guess this is a Disney ride. This bizarre thing happens, we're on this ranch, and now we're just in this weird situation attached to this father-son duo that brings us to this golf cart, and we're like, okay, I guess we're doing this tour. And this dude, Tim, is so much more of a quack than the dude we were with before. something legitimate happened to us, but this dude is talking about events from like the 1960s that are just so weird. And he's talking about it as if it is like a rehearsed story from the Bible, talking about like large bulletproof wolves and poltergeists and just these very almost like folklore childish tales. And he's talking about it as if it like changed his life and his perspective. And then he starts going into about how this ranch is a meeting of time and space, and every question that you possibly had will be answered if you stay on this ranch. Like at this point, once we're on this golf cart and we're going into this ranch with this guy, we're like, no, this is a cult. We just walked into a place that has a weird religious feeling tie to what this ranch is. Even though they feel cultish, we don't immediately feel in danger because we're just like, they're just kind of weird and they just kind of seem like they worship this ranch. We're like, we'll get out of it. It's probably like a 30-40 minute tour, whatever, then we'll get out of here. Tim was picking up on the fact that me and Sam were giving each other kind of like skeptical looks, like this dude is so weird. And his son is so nonchalant, by the way. This kid is the chillest kid ever. I talked to him, I'm like, bro, oh, like this is your first tour on the ranch, like thinking that he's just at work with his dad. And this kid goes, I know every inch of this ranch. I was born here, like I was raised here. And this kid is just acting so chill, but like he's one of those kids that is like he feels like an adult in a kid's body. Like he is kind of has dry humor and he's very monotone. He just gives straight answers, but he's like 10 and you're just like, what are you, a 40-year-old in a 10-year-old's body? But I could tell Tim is picking up on our slight sarcasm and reluctance to believe the really flamboyant tales that he's telling us about this ranch. We're driving past what seems to be just kind of like another set of buildings, and he's like, oh yeah? He like switched his tune. He's like, oh, you don't believe me? I'm gonna take you to the second homestead. This place is as haunted as it gets. And he starts telling us about like some poltergeist situation that used to happen at these homesteads, and he just whips the car over, parks it. He's like, let's go. I look at Junior and he's just like, whatever. He doesn't seem excited about this. So we're like, okay, I guess we're just gonna go with Tim. He's gonna show us this super excited, scary homestead. But at that point, we're like, well, this is kind of what we were here for. So as much as this dude seems like a quack, we're kind of happy to be checking this place out. But we're walking up and Tim's just going on and on. But I see Junior kind of like he's like looking into the homestead, and I see him kind of do like a little kid wave and like a giggle as if like he sees somebody he recognizes. So I'm expecting there to be more workers or something inside of this building. But once we get in, there's nobody in there. It is just like a living room, a kitchen, and then like a bedroom. And like in the living room, you're just like looking in, there's an archway to the kitchen and then an archway to the bedroom. And you can't really see if they connect. You can't really see if there's a back door. We just walk in, and right away, when I like look at the door as we're walking in, this door is covered with 10 different styles of locks. Padlocks, the little chain locks, all these different types of locks on the outside of this door. Once we're in, I just take a couple steps in and I look at the inside of the door. And the inside of the door is covered with locks. So right away, I'm like, oh, I don't like this one bit. Why is this Tim dude bringing us to this place that's locked on both sides? And I just saw little Junior just kind of like wave at somebody, but I didn't see anybody. So we walk in, I only walk like 2 steps in. 1 step back, I could put my foot into this door. I'm not letting anybody close this thing behind me. And we walk in, I'm not feeling good about it. I know Sam's not feeling good about it. He's tactical minded. He's immediately walking to that place looking for the exits. And I see a surveillance camera in the corner of this room. And I want to let this dude know that I'm seeing what is happening here. So I just draw attention to it. So I'm like, so what's that camera about? And he's just like, oh yeah, we're trying to get footage of the poltergeist activity in here. And he's being really eccentric and flamboyant. Like, guys, come in, like come further in. We're like, I'm not having any of this. I'm not stepping 1 foot further into this house. There's no way somebody's gonna swing around the outside and close us in here and we're stuck here. There's no chance. So we're just standing by this door. I see Junior still kind of like, as if he's like looking behind his dad or like looking into the other rooms, just kind of like giggling and interacting with something that's not there. And Tim walks into the doorway of the kitchen. And then I see Junior start to laugh really hard, like really giggle, and run towards his dad and around his dad into the kitchen and then to the left. And like I said, there's the kitchen doorway and then there's the bedroom doorway. But I don't know if they're connected. So I'm expecting to see Junior run through the kitchen and then be able to see him in the bedroom doorway. But I don't see him run all the way through. Tim tries to grab him. He's like, come on, Junior. Like, no, like he's trying to like wrangle his son. Junior slips by him. Tim has to follow him through the kitchen, and then I'm expecting to see him pop out into the bedroom. But no, neither of them pop out into the bedroom, so I take a step back towards the doorway because I think they're trying to pop out the back of the house, swing around the house, and close us in. So I immediately take a step into the doorway so they can't do that. They think they're slick, it's not happening. Then it goes kind of silent for a second. We're like, what's going on? So I look at Sam, I'm like, go check, I'll stay by the door. So Sam kind of tactically duck walks and like peeks around, and as he's peeking around, Junior pops back out from where he came and into the living room laughing pretty hard. And then Sam looks in through the kitchen, and then he backs up, then he looks through the bedroom door, and then he's like, he's not here. And I'm like, what do you mean he's not here? Like, is there a back door there? And he's like, no, like that dude's not here. And there's not even a window big enough in the kitchen for him to disappear. And Junior's just in the living room laughing. And then Sam's looking at me. I'm looking outside of the door because I'm looking like, how did Tim get out of the house? I think he's gonna try to push me from the back and close the door. This dude is nowhere to be found. And Sam is like, dude, he is not here. I don't know what's going on. And I just have this little kid laughing. And Sam is standing in the bedroom doorway now. I'm in the front doorway. And me and Sam are like, what do we do? Then Junior says something like, we tricked him. Just a little sprinkle of something, like revealing what just happened, but in like a little kid way, as if they were playing a joke. And Sam at this point is pretty much done with this situation. And he kind of barks at Junior. He's like, where'd your dad go? Because we're not about to get stuck in this place and padlocked by 6 locks. And the little kid points to the corner of the room. In between the 2 doorways, there's just an empty corner, and he points to the corner of the room and he says, we tricked him. And nothing's there. So we follow up with this kid. We're like, what do you mean? What do you mean you tricked him? Like, where is he? Where is your dad? And this kid is like, I don't know. He drops him somewhere else every time. And then he starts laughing. And Sam's getting genuinely annoyed at this point because why would this dude bring us out here and leave us with his kid? And now this kid is just playing little tricks on us or like doing this inside joke to himself. So he presses the kid one more time, but it's like the kid didn't even hear what he said. And this kid looks back at Sam and goes, he says you should get that mole checked on your neck.